Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi joins us now, senior Congress leader, MP, well-known jurist. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. You know, it is a speculative question, but I think in the situation you'll appreciate it, Dr. Singhvi. You know, with the BJP having sort of taken over the Ajit Pawar camp in a sense, is there a possibility of the Congress, reaching out to Sharad Pawar and perhaps strengthening your own position by having him within the Congress, him and his sizable number of supporters?
Vishnu, just give me a second. I think. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
You have, in one particular word you used, answered your question yourself. This BJP is now becoming a takeover party. It doesn't form the government in Goa. It takes over something. It does it in Northeast, does it in Karnataka, does it in Madhya Pradesh. Now, this is like first building something without a building sanction, making 2 floors without a building sanction, without occupancy certificate, calling it double engine, occupying it with a judgment which held against them on all counts except one, and then building a 3rd floor, an already illegal building, and calling it a 3-engine sarkar. So this is taking over existing groups, is the BJP style. I think that's very important.
No, you're not answering my question, Dr. Singhvi.
Your question has to be contextually seen. I don't think the Congress is in a takeover mode. The Congress is in a very firm alliance, which is the MVA. Mr. Sharad Pawar is a pillar of that. We have no takeover, as you call it, intentions or aspirations.
No, let's change that word takeover. Is there a possible of some sort of a merger? What if Sharad Pawar and the other leaders were to approach the Congress, and purely from a tactical standpoint ahead of the elections, if you have a stronger single entity, then would that not potentially be something you'd look at?
I think that is not the need of the hour. I don't think it's at all relevant even. I think it's a very peripheral issue. See, the MVA today, as it exists, even minus Ajit Pawar, is a very strong alliance. Now, the fact that you are having problems with certain people with Mr. Ajit Pawar doesn't mean that we have to coalesce into one party. I mean, there are their own internal contradictions you see in a khichdi combination of the Shiva Sena, Shinde faction, the BJP, and now Mr. Ajit Pawar. Is that the kind of union you want? A union of incompatibles? And already there are murmurings, very strong murmurs of dissent. We have our independent identity in the MPA. And I think the important thing is to fight unitedly, see the sympathy overflowing, and deal with it legally, because there are several legal illegalities. This oath is unconstitutional. This whole sarkar in that sense is unconstitutional. But we understand that courts take time to decide. But it is much better to concentrate on those issues than to concentrate on trying and merging things into a uneatable khichdi or into a situation where everybody start fighting each other within that merger.
Fair point, but would you concede that Ajit Pawar has got the better of Sharad Pawar with the support base that he enjoys? I mean, it's between 32 and 42 MLAs, 32 and 40 MLAs versus 17 to 19 at this stage.
Vishnu, that's an extremely superficial way of looking at support. You know, by any legal test, and we'll be coming to those stages later, the party is not 32 MLAs. Even the official symbol under the law is to be given by the Election Commission by looking at a party. The party includes a much larger entity from the top right down to the tehsil, to the office bearers, intermediate and district and state level. That's even forgetting everything else, the legal test. So in effect, what Mr. Ajit Pawar is doing is a self-congratulatory pat on the back by having some group of MLAs gone. That is not the party. You know, in the last judgment we succeeded in, I'll give you a simple example. If this is the party, suppose the lakhs of people are with Mr. Sharad Pawar, and even his worst enemies today would concede that the tallest figure in Maharashtra politics, cutting across lines, is Mr. Sharad Pawar. Suppose the Sharad Pawar group as a party was to give a whip under a judgment which is hardly 6 months old, that is binding on the legislative group. So just to have 34 and start dancing with joy is not the party.
But tell me one thing, sir.
We understand, one second more. We understand that the BJP functions on the process being the punishment. They realize that ultimately this is all wrong. But they know that last time it took 1 year to declare the Shiv Sena episode wrong in 9 out of 10 counts in that judgment. So they are again banking on the fact that this will again take time. The fact that it will take time does not rob it of its basic illegality.
No, it doesn't. But assuming that conclusion of yours is correct, but I'm just from a legal standpoint, we are now told that the NCP removed Sharad Pawar from the post that, of party chief 2 days before the coup, as it were. And then there was this letter of support from 40 MLAs, MLCs and MPs, etc., etc. Is that something that protects Ajit Pawar from anti-defection?
I think these are all, very cheap tricks of the trade, thinking that the law is an ass and let us make a bigger ass of it. I find it very amusing that all the events, I was abroad, I came back on Sunday, all the events take place on Sunday or rather Monday. And we today have, and I'm not sure what is the official website, so I may be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, the EC telling you that Mr. Ajit Pawar's faction filed a complaint on 30th.
The election commission has apparently been informed that an election was has taken that Sharad Pawar was removed from the top post of the party, right, 2 days before the coup, before the mutiny, is what they were informed, and that there is this letter with this sort of support.
Election commission. So the point number one, we are now suddenly told that there is now, whether it's backdating, anti-dating, I don't know. These will all be seen in the fullness of time. We are told that something happened on 30th. Whereas all our television channels saw Mr. Ajit Pawar declaring as late as Monday and Sunday that Mr. Sharad Pawar is our leader. Your television channels have captured it.
No, but that they're still, that he's still saying. In fact, when I interviewed Praful Patel yesterday, he says, I don't want to say a word about Sharad Pawar. He is our our foremost leader, etc., etc. They want Sharad Pawar to buy into what it is that they're doing. He's not willing to do that.
It's very easy to say these things. He's your foremost leader, and you removed him. And you've told the EC on 30th, which nobody knows on 2nd and 3rd. And the EC of all people takes 5 days, today 5th, to inform you. Why was the EC strategically silent?
No.
These are all, I can tell you there are lots of issues arising here. It's not so simple. There are lots of hanky-panky things going on. But my point is a basic point. Politically, I think this exposes, even many of your channels say that as of today, the sympathy, the support, if an election were held today, is clearly with the, if I may use the word, MVA.
Okay.
Now, possibly this is done for that purpose.
No, but again, another legal question to you, and I know you have problems with this letters of support or signatures, etc., etc. But just bear with me for a moment. Sharad Pawar with 17 to 19 MLAs supporting him, it's not a insignificant number. And if this is an indicator of support, then wouldn't the Ajit Pawar camp fall short of the two-thirds number that they need to avoid anti-defection proceedings?
They are trying to avoid anti-defection proceeding by one simple technique. The speaker will decide the matter by not deciding. It's very simple to avoid anti-defection. Last time we are at 2.5 months of the Shiv Sena episode, and yesterday a petition has been filed in the Supreme Court to direct the speaker to avoid. I told you the BJP and its allies rely on process being the punishment.
Yeah.
So something by not deciding is also a decision.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have the same thing here. Mr. Narvekar, who otherwise is a very intelligent person and a very dynamic person, takes 2.5 months to not even take step one in the Shiv Sena disqualification. I'm sure he will try and take 2.5 years in this one. So I don't think, that is the issue. Ultimately, we'll have to go to court. The Manipur speaker got strictures from the Supreme Court for sitting on and not deciding petitions. I'm sure a stage will come, but that unfortunately takes time. And we can't take the law into our own hands as the BJP seems to be doing everything.
Okay, so Dr. Singhvi, let me ask you about the larger issue. How does this affect or potentially affect opposition unity in the country?
I think on the contrary, it gives a fillip and a push to opposition unity. I have a different view. People are saying that, this actually dilutes. One of the objects given for this is to make sure that opposition unity doesn't survive. On the contrary, people realize that they have to be more united together. They have to stand more stronger together. They realize that each of their own regional strongholds and their own backyards are under danger, not by democratic means, but by poaching, by inducements. You criticize, abuse with the worst kind of vituperative language, and tomorrow you are sleeping bedfellows with them. Each of the 9 people, we know what things were said about corruption by Mr. Modi himself about these people. So I think this is actually leading to a greater sense of unity, a greater sense of urgency to unite. And I don't agree with this notion that just because you break away 9 people or 10 people or 30 people, this is a great deterrence to unity.
Okay. Dr. Singhvi, thanks very much for being with us and sharing, that perspective. Thanks very much indeed.